The village's dark secret. They say the river witch grants wishes, but what they don't say is what she takes in return. In the quiet village of Abil, the river witch of the Volta was more than a story. She was a warning, a shadow that stretched across generations. People spoke in hushed voices of how she lurked beneath the river's dark, glassy surface, waiting for the desperate and the foolish. And though many dismissed the tale, everyone knew the rule. Never approach the river after dark. But Kofi's mother was dying. She lay pale and feverish, her breath shallow and labored. The village healer had done all she could, but nothing had worked. Kofi was desperate, and when the whispered suggestion of the river which reached him, he felt the weight of both hope and fear. As he gazed at his mother, he whispered to himself, "I have no choice. Call to the river with a desperate heart, and the witch will hear you." That night, Kofi made his way to the riverbank. The moon was high, casting a haunting silver light over the mist that clung to the Volta. He swallowed, his heart hammering as he took the final steps toward the water's edge. The air felt colder, heavier, and the world around him seemed to grow eerily silent. He took a deep breath, then whispered, "River Witch, I am here. Please, I need your help." For a moment, nothing happened, but then, faint ripples spread across the water, and slowly, a dark figure rose from the mist. Her form was tall and ghostly, her hair dark as the river itself, and her eyes glowed with an otherworldly green light. "You seek my help, child of Abil," she murmured, her voice soft and chilling. "But are you prepared to pay the price?" Kofi's throat tightened, but he nodded, his voice trembling. "My mother, she is dying. Please, save her. I'll give anything." The witch's lips curved into a cruel smile. "Anything, you say? To save a life, you must offer a life willingly given." The witch stretched out a skeletal hand, stirring the air in a slow circle. Suddenly, the water began to churn and bubble, as if something ancient were awakening beneath its surface. "I can save your mother," she said, her voice low and echoing. "But a life must be traded for hers, one given willingly and with an open heart." Kofi felt a chill creep through him. Could he really make such a choice? Yet the memory of his mother's face, the weak rise and fall of her chest, forced him to nod. Who must I give?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The witch's eyes gleamed. "That choice belongs to you," she said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. With a sweeping gesture, she pointed to a dark flower blooming at his feet. "Take this, crush its petals and let her drink. She will live." Before he could ask more, the river witch melted back into the fog, leaving Kofi alone with the cold, pulsing flower in his hand. "I would give my life for her, too," Quaim said, his voice steady. "If that's what it takes." Kofi returned home, the dark flower heavy in his grip. He could feel its coldness against his palm, a bitter reminder of what he had to do. His mind raced with the witch's words. Who would willingly give their life for his mother? One face came to mind, his closest friend, Quaim. He had known Kofi's mother since childhood and had always treated her like family. When he met Quaim by the village well the next day, he told him everything, voice low and desperate. Quaim's face paled, but he didn't hesitate. "Kofi, if this is what your mother needs, I will give myself for her. She is like my own mother." Kofi's heart twisted with guilt. "Are you sure, Quaim? You don't have to." Quaim placed a hand on his shoulder, his voice soft but resolute. "I would give my life for her, too. The river remembers, and one day, she will come for her due." That night, Kofi and Quaim returned to the river's edge. The moon hung low, casting a sickly light over the water, which seemed to ripple with dark anticipation. They stood side by side, waiting for the river witch to appear. Suddenly, the mist parted, and she rose from the river, her glowing eyes fixed on Quaim. "You have brought me a willing heart," she purred. She extended a hand, placing it on Quaim's chest, her fingers sinking into him like icy fire. He gasped but held steady, his eyes meeting Kofi's one last time. As Quaim's body slumped to the ground, the witch looked at Kofi, her voice soft and almost tender. "Your mother will live. But remember, child, the river never forgets." With those words, she vanished, leaving Kofi alone by the dark waters, the weight of his choice heavy on his soul. In the dead of night, Kofi could still hear the river calling his name. Kofi returned home and gave his mother the crushed petals. She awoke as if from a deep sleep. Her illness gone, her cheek rosy with health. She smiled at him, unaware of the sacrifice made on her behalf. But Kofi would never forget. Every night, as he lay down to sleep, he heard the river calling his name, a faint whisper in the darkness. The words of the witch echoed in his mind, a chilling reminder of the price he had paid. For the river remembers, and someday, it would come for him too.